Hey guys, welcome back, and can you believe it? We are already on our next Animal Artist Collective piece. Let me first quickly tell you about the sketches you're seeing on the screen that I did digitally in Procreate on my iPad. I did use my iPad just to quickly do some color comps and figure out a general composition. I really like the idea of having two of these Triceratops together, possibly kind of a mother or parental figure and a younger Triceratops, and thought this could maybe be a cute sort of Mother's Day or similar kind of design, especially since we have Mother's Day coming up this Sunday, at least in the US. And then I went ahead and made those kind of cartoony versions a little bit more realistic with some reference that I was able to find of what we at least think or thought that these animals look like. I think if I were to do this over, I might have changed the younger Triceratops head a little bit more, because I feel like possibly their horns wouldn't be as mature looking as the parents, since I did sort of copy paste and then redesigned certain features on the younger Triceratops, but I still think that this design works out pretty well. It does look like a maybe mother and baby, and I thought that was pretty cute. I then also, of course, had to add some of my plants. I really liked the idea of adding a little sort of vine that creates a heart underneath them, and thought that this could maybe be a cute design for like a Mother's Day card or something like that. And so I ended up printing that out on my printer and then used my Lightbox here to sketch it on to my watercolor paper. I am using a 100% cotton watercolor paper from Arteza. This is my first full piece that I'm doing on their paper, but it's a pretty good 100% cotton paper, so I'm excited that I have something a little bit larger to work on. As I am transferring my sketch here on the screen, I figured I would do a quick introduction and let you guys know about our guest artist, which is Sarah Newberry of the Art Hive. So make sure to go check out her channel and check out everybody in the Artist Collective. We will have a link to the playlist and everybody's channels down below, so make sure to check out everybody, because we have a ton of really awesome animals that are being represented this time around for our theme this round, which is extinct animals. If you are interested in helping us choose the theme for the next months, make sure to also check down below in the description for our Facebook page and our Facebook poll, where we will always throw up 2 different categories for you guys to help vote on, and that is the category that we will be picking our animals from for next time around. If you're interested in officially participating in the group, make sure to check out our Twitter, which is also linked down below. We have a pinned post that has an application form, so if you are also a YouTube artist who makes primarily animal art and would love to participate, make sure to fill out that form and send that in to us. And if you still want to participate but don't necessarily qualify for that, please tag us on Instagram. We love sharing everybody's unofficial pieces on our Instagram stories and sharing in all of the wonderful animal love. So now that we have all of that out of the way, let's talk about the Triceratops and why I chose this extinct animal to focus on for this piece. So I'm pretty sure my very first memory of what a Triceratops even was probably from The Land Before Time and the character Sarah. Let me know down below if you guys also watched Land Before Time, or if you have no idea what I'm talking about. But I used to watch these movies all the time and loved watching all of these fun dinosaur characters. The next big memory I have around learning about dinosaurs in general, and specifically the Triceratops, was me in the first grade learning about dinosaurs and us putting on a dinosaur play where I played none other than one of the Triceratops. I did some digging and found these 2 photos of me in the play crawling around in my orange shorts and a white top that had a bright orange Triceratops on it. There is also a photo in existence with myself and one of my best friends from 1st grade and currently still one of my best friends in our little dino outfits in her entryway pretending to eat one of their plants. So I thought that would be fun to share those photos of very, very young me in 1st grade and tell you a little bit about why this is probably my #1 dinosaur that I wanted to pick when I decided I wanted to do a dinosaur for this round. Another reason I really like the Triceratops is I have always had an affinity for the number 3. It is my favorite number. I love things in sets of 3s, and I know aesthetically having an odd number and a set of 3 things can look really nice in a composition, and so I've always loved the number 3, and so having something that is basically 3 horns and has these cool 3 horns on this animal, I thought would be really fun to draw and also kind of connect back to my favorite number. Aside from that, I just thought that these animals were really cool looking, and I thought design-wise it would be really fun to draw them and add some really fun plant life behind them, kind of like I do with a lot of my pieces, and create a little bit of an interesting pattern with that vine that creates kind of a heart underneath them, and really focus on just a sort of headshot of each of them since the rest of their bodies are not as interesting. I feel like visually the Triceratops head is just a lot more interesting and there's a lot of really interesting detail, and so I thought that would be really fun. And of course I wanted to plantify this animal just a little bit. For any of you who know that I love to combine plants with animals, I realized that something I could do very easily was make the horns actually emulate plants. So what I ended up doing was making the horns sort of emulate the leaves of a zebra plant, which is a type of succulent. This was actually the plant I chose for my patrons. If any of you don't already know, I have a sort of sketchbook club that I do over there every single month, where I pick some sort of plant for us to focus on sort of practicing together, and I like to stretch myself and try to combine that with animals whenever I possibly can. Some aspect of the animal sort of merging with this plant, and for April our plant was the zebra plant, and I have another post over on my Patreon about me sort of experimenting traditionally with colors and this design as my sort of initial thumbnailing and color experimentation before I started my final sketch for this piece. So make sure to check that out if you're interested in something like a sketchbook club or participating behind the scenes a little bit more. So for most of this piece, I actually wanted to try and film the entirety of its creation and just speed it up as much as I could to get it into this video, but really show the whole process and just kind of have one long time lapse to show you just every little detail that I've added. I've sort of experimented with editing where I have whole chunks kind of cut out and a little bit more real-time painting, and I do have a little bit of that like you've just seen, but I wanted to experiment with this style again and see having a kind of full-on time lapse of the whole thing coming together, if that was something you guys were interested in. But let me know down below if you're interested in me kind of going back to editing, or maybe mixing up how I edit, where I have more bits of real time and more angles. But I thought it would be fun to just kind of show this whole thing just coming together all in one go rather than cutting anything out. I also wanted to mention that, as always, I have all of my supplies listed down below and their affiliate links if you are interested in supporting the channel and interested in getting something that you are seeing me using. I have those down below. But if you haven't been watching some of my more recent videos, I have been breaking out my liquid watercolors from the Dr. P.H. Martin brand, the Hydrus to be specific, because I know that there is a Radiant line, but I use the Hydrus. And I have a video that will be coming out soon-ish about their light fastness and all of that, so be on the lookout for that in the near future. But I had not used them in a while, mostly because I had a hard time storing both the colors right out of the bottle, which typically need to have some water added because they are just the full pigment, as well as mixed colors from the color set that I have. And I think I have found this little container that I have been using for a little while that seals up really, really well. It's, I believe, meant for watercolors. I honestly don't remember how I was able to find this, but I have been searching for a way to store these colors, and specifically store mixed colors from my liquid watercolors, for a little while, and this seals perfectly. As you can see, there's little kind of notches around the side, and each of those notches have a corresponding sort of clamp that clamps down, and there's a rubberized kind of top that really seals these colors in. You end up needing to mix the pigment because any sort of liquid watercolor typically has the pigment sort of in the water or whatever it is that keeps them in liquid form, and you typically need to kind of shake the bottle. But for this, you're able to just kind of swirl the colors up a little bit and remix them, and they don't dry out at all. And so it's been really nice working with this palette. So that's also linked down below if you're interested. And I've had a fun time using them more recently. My initial idea was to only use them as sort of an underpainting for this piece, but as I went along, I actually liked that it was a little bit more flat color and there wasn't a ton of crazy shadows and details and things. Maybe in the future I'll do a little bit more detailed pieces, but I ended up just liking the flat colors of this, and I wanted to concentrate a little bit more on the line work, which I really do enjoy in my artwork. And so as you can see here, I am adding in the lines again over my sketch lines from before, and just sort of bringing out the line work with a pencil. This is just a Prismacolor Premier pencil, and I'm going over all of the lines, so you have a little bit of that definition, but it's still really soft with the colored pencil. And then I go back in with a little bit of shading with the Colorase Prismacolor pencil, which is what I typically use to sketch, and what I used to sketch this piece initially. It's a little bit of a harder lead, so I'm able to not put down quite as much pigment at a time, and that ends up making just really subtle shadows and is a really nice look in my opinion. And so yeah, I felt like the watercolor for this piece was more of, I guess, sort of an underpainting of sorts, and then I really do like adding in the detail with the line work and really focusing on kind of pushing the depth of the different planes and the foreground and backgrounds and all of that, and being able to sort of softly bring out certain elements with pencil. So hopefully I will do a little bit more experimentation with colored pencils in the future, because I really do like using them, and I've used them a lot in college as well, and I think colored pencil and watercolor are a really good combination, as a lot of the other artists in the Artist Collective also use both of these materials. I would like to experiment with that even more. And if you didn't already know, each of these original pieces will be sold, and at least half the proceeds go to an animal charity of the artist's choice. So this round I have chosen ARC, or the Amphibian and Reptile Conservancy. I thought that was appropriate since the Triceratops is a dinosaur, which is a reptile, so that's how I went about choosing that. If you are interested in helping support this charity and owning this piece of artwork, I do have a link down below for my Etsy shop where it is being sold along with a few other Animal Artist Collective pieces that are still available. So I am curious, is this your favorite dinosaur, or do you have a different favorite dinosaur? I feel like a lot of us learned about dinosaurs when we were little and maybe even went to a museum where there were bones and things like that, and I feel like a lot of people have a particular favorite of theirs, whether it's from a favorite childhood movie series like myself or from some other place. I'd love to know what your favorite dinosaur is, and if there was an extinct animal that was represented in this collective round, or if there was something that we might have missed. Let us know, or draw it yourself and make sure to tag us so we see your artwork and we can share it with everybody. Here I am finishing up my details, and I added a little bit of shading, as you would have seen, and a little bit of white gel pen just to bring out some highlights, especially on the horns, which, as I mentioned, are reminiscent of zebra plants. So they do have some little kind of white stripes on them, and added a little bit of texture on the skin of the Triceratops as well. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure to leave a like and comment down below and subscribe if you are interested in seeing more artwork similar to this. If you like animals and you like plants, you're probably going to want to click around and check out some of my other videos, and subscribe, hit that bell so you don't miss any of my videos. And as always, I hope you have a creatively fulfilled day, and I'll see you next time. Bye guys!